on.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the Snowman Christmas Countdown Clock craft class. Thank you so much for coming today. We'll give everybody a few seconds to sign on and then we'll get started. If you guys have a question, be sure to pop it into the Q&A area. My friend Maria is moderating, so she's here to answer any of your questions that you may have. And you can see behind me that I have my cat here, so you can say hi to Giraffe. All right, guys, so let's just wait one more minute before we get started. And some of the materials you'll need today for this craft are either paint or marker, something circular. If you have a paper plate, that works great. I actually just cut out a circle from nice corrugate cardboard. You could use a cereal box, cut that out. If you have a circular foam piece, you could use that as well. Pretty much anything that you can cut out of a circle should work. I would definitely recommend that it's something a little sturdier than just paper though, because you are going to have to support your nose and it will be a little sturdier to last every year. Additionally, on craftprojectideas.com, if you guys need a template, we are offering a downloadable template. Maria will post that in the chat for you guys to download. If you're interested. So it has about a 7-inch circle for you to cut out, and then it also has the numbers, and I'll teach you how to do a graphite transfer if you have messy handwriting like myself. And then the other materials you'll need are something to write with. If you have 2 craft sticks, that's great. You can probably make the nose without them if you don't, but you'll definitely need some fuzzy sticks. If your materials are wooden, so if you're using a wooden circle plaque, instead of just fuzzy sticks, you'll also need some kind of push pin to allow you to connect your nose and allow it to spin. And then you can see that you'll need some wiggly eyes. You could also draw those on if you don't have any. And then you'll just need either craft foam or construction paper, whatever color of your choice, depending on what color you want your snowman to be. So let's get started. I'll leave this here so you guys can see what he looks like. So the first step, if you don't have something circular already, will be either cutting out the printable from the Craft Project Ideas link that Maria posted, or you can freehand a circle, or if you have a paper plate. So I actually already traced my circle. I had cut it out a little earlier, so you guys didn't have to watch me cut the whole time. So make sure you grab your scissors. And the last thing you'll actually need that I didn't highlight is either glue or tape. If you have glue or tape, hot glue would be ideal for the fuzzy sticks because they stick better, but craft glue works just fine. It just might take a little longer to dry. Please don't use hot glue without the help of a parent. And you only need push pins if you're using wood. If you don't use wood, you can probably just use a fuzzy stick like I did for this guy. And I'll show you guys, let's get started. If you're using a paper plate, you can either use the whole thing or cut it out depending on what size you want it to be. I think it's easier to just use the whole thing. So I traced my circle. So like I said, just cut out your template, trace it, or freehand a circle, whatever you decide. And now cut it out. Like I said, I'm using corrugate cardboard. This was just from a box that was actually shipped to me, and I upcycled it so I could use it for this craft. So I'm just gonna cut this out. I don't know if you guys are as excited for the holiday season as I am, and I know things are a little bit different this year. I feel like that's the quote of 2020. Things are a little bit different, but you know, it just makes us look forward hopefully to next year and celebrating like we always do. So now that I've cut out my circle, mine isn't white and I really want a white snowman. So you can either use a white colored pencil, you could use a white paint, a white crayon. It really kind of just depends on your material. Because I have such a dark corrugate here, I am going to use paint for better coverage. So I have some washable paint right here. But like I said, if you have a white paper plate, you don't even have to color it. You're already good to go. So I'm just gonna grab my oversized paintbrush to make this process a little bit faster. Something to remember when you're painting is to try and paint all in the same direction. So then your strokes really look more smooth. If you paint in many different directions, it looks a little bit messier and it doesn't have as good of coverage. But like I said, if you don't have paint or you don't want to use paint, you don't have to. Using either white paper, or I would recommend some kind of cardstock, maybe white foam or foam core would be a better solution. What are you guys excited to get for the holidays? Anything at the top of your wish list? And I've been asked a few times what you can use if you don't have cardboard. I would just recommend using something sturdier than regular paper. So even some kind of construction paper would be better, because you want this to last year after year, so you could always count down until Christmas. Oh, clay, fun, and Legos. Ooh, a GoPro. That's pretty cool. Oh, I would love a pet unicorn too, Belle. I think unicorns are so magical. So as you can see, I'm just trying to totally cover this in white paint. And then I'm just gonna set it aside to dry while we go on to our next step. So if you painted or colored, just set it aside, let it dry. And then we can move on to our next step. So while it dries, we can cut out our hat and decorate it. So for the hat, you just need to cut out a rectangle and then a strip of paper, or you can use craft foam or felt, whatever materials you have at your fingertips. So I am going to use craft foam. I'm going to do a green hat this time around. So all I'm going to do is cut out my strip as such. Your strip should be about 1 inch. So the way to measure that would be 2 fingers, there you go, about 1 inch. My fingers are a lot bigger than yours, I'm sure. So if you want to measure it, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it doesn't need to be perfect. And then I'm going to cut the rest of my craft foam into a bit of a rectangle here. I want it to be a little bit wider than it is tall to be the rest of the top hat. And then these two pieces will go together to form my snowman's cap. So I'm just going to apply some glue here. Did you know that the world's largest snowman was over 122 feet tall? They literally used trees for the arms, like insane. And it used over 13 million pounds of snow. Could you imagine having that much snow? I don't think I would want that. Though, you know, there's nothing better than watching a dog play in the snow. Pure joy. So as you can see, I'm just gluing my long strip to the bottom of my rectangle hat. And if I'm going a little too fast for you guys, or you need to gather materials, you need some time, you can follow along on the recording of this tomorrow. It will be posted. And there's also a website, craftprojectideas.com, where you can find the principle for the circle and the numbers. And it also has a full step-by-step tutorial right now. So now that this is glued together, I am just going to add some accents with a fuzzy stick. I think I'm going to use a silver glitter stick. You guys can decorate your hat however you want. If you have fuzzy sticks, that's great. You can add a stripe of color. You could also paint it. You could use markers, you could use paint, you could use glitter. The world is your oyster. Use whatever materials you have at your disposal and use whatever colors you want. So I'm actually just going to fold my fuzzy stick in half. And it's a glitter, silver glitter fuzzy stick to add a little pizzazz to my snowman's outfit and to his hat. And for this to adhere, I'm actually going to use my hot glue gun. If you don't have a parent present or you've never used a hot glue gun before, please don't use it on your own. You could really hurt yourself, so please be careful. But I do find that pipe cleaners, fuzzy sticks, whatever you choose to call them, definitely adhere better with hot glue. So I'm gonna, oh, my hot glue gun's off. So I'm gonna plug in my hot glue gun and revisit that because my hot glue gun needs a second to warm up. While that warms up though, we can talk about how we're gonna decorate the hat. So, just moving in my chair. So I want the top of my hat to say, days till Christmas, because the countdown, as you can see, will be all around the circle. So if you don't have hot glue, someone asked, just make sure you're using regular glue, or you could use tape, whatever you have to adhere your pieces together. So this is still drying, so I have to be a little bit careful. But I'm actually going to paint days till Christmas, and you guys can paint it. You can write it out. I prefer to paint because I think that my handwriting comes out a little nicer. So when you're painting any kind of letters or really doing any kind of hand lettering, the way it works is really with the amount of pressure that you're putting down on your paintbrush or on your marker. So I'm gonna just quickly write days till Christmas, and I wanna do all capital letters. So D, and so I'm trying to very lightly do my letter strokes because I don't want my letters to be very thick. So the less pressure I put on my brush, the thinner my strokes are. And you can decorate your hat however you want. If you want to glitter it up, if you want to color it in, if you want to give your snowman a name and write his name on the hat or her name on the hat, you can do that. But I'm going to write days till Christmas. So as you can see, I'm really taking my time. Neat handwriting is all about slowing down. So I'm making sure that all of my letters connect in the right places. Days. And again, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush because I don't want my strokes to be super thick. Again, you can paint this, you can write this out, you can just decorate the hat however you'd like. So you can see that mine's still drying from glue. So days till. Because this is this Christmas countdown clock, and I have the clock that will be on the face of the snowman, I just want to introduce days till Christmas on the snowman's hat. So like I said, you guys can decorate it however you want. I wonder if this snowman's hat will make him come alive like the story. It is green like the snowman. So, and now I want to do a bit of a different look to my letters for Christmas. So again, I'm going to make sure that I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush. I'm going to just dip it. And now I want a little bit of a cursive look. So I'm going to write Christmas in cursive or script for those of you who use that term instead. So I'm really taking my time when I'm lettering, and I'm adding in little loops to make it look very fun. If I'm going too fast for you guys, there is a full tutorial available on craftprojectideas.com, or you can visit Michael's website or their YouTube for a full recording of this tutorial tomorrow. So I'm just adding fun little loops and connecting my letters here and there. You can see my glue is still a little wet on the bottom, but that's okay because it will dry. It will dry clear, so it won't mess up your project if you're having the same issue. So Christmas is what I'm writing next. So it's CHRI. Add an I-S. T. And I may actually go over my letters one more time, but maybe at the end. And then M. A. S. So I'm pretty happy with how this looks. Like I said, I'll probably go over it one more time. And then I'm just gonna take a little bit of puffy paint or three-dimensional paint. You could use glitter glue, whatever you choose to further decorate. And I'm just gonna do some red little polka dots in the corner to add a little pizzazz to my hat. And now, while my paint's dry, my fuzzy stick is ready to be attached because I finally have my hot glue gun ready. So I'm gonna just do a line of hot glue. Like I said, if you've never used one or you don't have adult supervision, please do not try it out on your own. You could really injure yourself or burn yourself, and we don't want that. That takes all the fun out of crafting. So there you go. Now my hat is fully decorated. And so while this dries, I'm just gonna put it up here with my other creation. Swap spots, let it dry up there, and definitely set it aside, let it dry, because at this point, my snowman face is dry and ready to be further crafted. So the next step is, if you have the template downloaded from the Craft Project Ideas website, it's a PDF that you could download and print out. You can cut it out, but then also I'm going to show you guys how to do a graphite transfer. So what's nice about this is it's cut to size, so it matches the size of what I created for the face of my snowman. And I basically am just going to take my pencil. And as you can see, I've kind of already done this, but I'll show you guys the full process. So if you don't have the PDF, you guys can totally freehand your numbers. I'm just doing this because it makes it a little bit more guaranteed to fit. for myself because I sized it the exact same. And my handwriting, again, isn't the best, so I like this option. So basically, when you do a graphite transfer, you just want to make sure that you're coloring where the text is. So as you can kind of see through the paper because of the light, you can see I made sure to color all around. So then on the back side, you have graphite. So I'm gonna just do one more layer of that on all my numbers. You're gonna count 1 through 25 or 1 through 24. It kind of depends when you guys decide that you like to start your Christmas countdown. I did 1 through 25 because I kind of like to start it right at the beginning of, or the end of November. So here's an example of the finished clock so you guys can see how many numbers you have and how you should space it out. Your 13 is always going to be here. And somebody asked what the graphite is for, and it's to allow me to transfer these numbers onto here. So I'm going to finish showing you guys that. So like I said, I used my pencil, I covered this all. And now that all my numbers are covered, I'm going to tape this. If you don't have tape, that's okay. You can probably just lay it on top, but tape just guarantees that it doesn't move. So I'm going to just tape this to the edges of my circle. Again, you don't need to do this step if you choose not to. You're welcome to freehand your numbers. This just guarantees good spacing. You can totally freehand them, no problem. But now that I've done the graphite on the back, I'm going to now trace each number. So again, trying to go slow. So then I'm tracing exactly on top of the numbers. But don't worry if you don't have this printout, you can number 1 through 24 or 1 through 25, whichever you prefer on your own. You do not need this printout to create this craft. So as you can see, I'm just pressing down as hard as I can to make sure that the numbers get transferred. And I'll show you guys. So it's kind of hard to see on your end. I can see it. But if you see very lightly, there is the 1, the 2, and the 3. So on your end, you'll be able to see it better than I can and vice versa. But make sure that you're outlining every single number. And like I said, as long as you put your 13 in the base, if you're doing 25, that's your halfway point. So that's how you can guarantee that you're spacing correctly. I would say there's probably about 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch between each number, but at the end of the day, it really depends on what size clock you're making. So I'm almost done tracing. Make sure you go all the way around. And like I said, it's okay if you don't have a principal, you can totally freehand these. Just take your time so it's all really neat. And then 2. All right, so just a few more to outline. And we're gonna go over these in markers so they'll be easier to see, but this is basically just to give you a basis so then you're not running out of space and you have really pretty Christmassy looking numbers to go around your snowman. Okay, so now that I've completed my graphite transfer, do a close up here to kind of show you guys. You can kind of see the numbers. It's really hard to see on the screen, but that's 25, 24. 13 shows up quite well on the screen. So again, 11, 10, 9, 8. So you can probably see better on your end. But again, if you chose not to do the transfer, that's totally cool. But now I'm going to go over these numbers so I could see them better in red marker because I think it's festive. And Maria added the link to the chat, so please take a look in the chat if you're interested in the printable. While I do this, I thought it'd be fun to tell you guys that it's a myth that no two snowflakes are exactly the same. I think that that's honestly a little bit heartbreaking because I always thought that they were individually unique. But in 1988, two scientists found two identical snow crystals that came in a storm from Wisconsin. So really interesting. But you know, while snowflakes might not be unique, you are, and you are one of a kind. So as you can see, guys, I'm just going over my numbers that I graphite transferred, so then they're easier to see. This can totally be free-handed if you have nice handwriting or if you're really good at spacing, but I personally find using the number template to be very, very helpful. And it's okay if they aren't perfect. At the end of the day, as long as you can see them, I think that's all that really, really matters. So as you can see, making my way around, much easier to see now. But that's what's great about the graphite transfers is it allows you to do a tracing method, but it doesn't leave behind any trace. So you can't see it on your finished project, which I really like. Though I am having a little bit of difficulty seeing these last few numbers. So I'm going to freehand them. Oh, I missed 21. So make sure that you're counting correctly. I was freehanding and I missed one of the numbers. But that's okay. The best part about crafting is there are no mistakes, just happy accidents from our favorite artist, Bob Ross. So then I just have 24 and 25. So once you're done numbering all the way around, so you can see my happy accident right there. It's okay, it happens to the best of us. It still looks beautiful. So now that our clock is written out, the next part is finding the center of our snow person. So basically the center, like I said, is pretty much where the 13 is, but the best way to do this is simply folding your circle in half this way, and then folding it in half the other way. And my center is right there. So I'm just going to mark that with a pencil. And next, we're going to create our snowman's nose to go in the middle. So as I stated earlier, it depends on the material that you're using that will pretty much determine how you can do your snowman's nose. If you're using a paper plate or cardboard or paper like myself, you should be able to poke a hole, no problem. So, but if you're using wood or something that's a little bit sturdier, you may need to use a push pin to hold your snowman's nose onto it. Let's get started then. So like I said, if you have craft sticks, it will help to build a sturdier nose. If you don't, that's okay. But your fuzzy stick nose just may not be as sturdy. So first, we're gonna see that my craft sticks are a little bit long, right? So I'm gonna mark that the end is right here because I don't want it to go past. And then I'm gonna actually zoom in here a little bit for you guys. So I'm gonna mark that from the middle, this is where the edge is, and then the same on my other craft stick. From the middle, this is where the edge is. And then I'm gonna actually cut on an angle like this to create the point of my carrot. So I'm gonna do that on both craft sticks. So cutting at an angle. And then I'm gonna put them together like this to show you guys now I have a true point. So I don't want mine to be that big. So I'm actually probably gonna do more an angle like this. I'm gonna do an acute angle made out of my 2 craft sticks. And I'm gonna use hot glue just for time's sake, but you can use craft glue to attach these. So I'm going to attach these together like this. Again, I'm keeping my angle very small, an acute angle. So then I have a nice carrot shaped nose. So that's gonna go here. And I'm just quickly making sure that I didn't overshoot. And I think it's the perfect length to be my pointer for my numbers. So then you're gonna take an orange fuzzy stick and you are going to want it to be wrapped like this. So I would glue your fuzzy stick or your pipe cleaner, or you can paint it. If you actually just want to paint these or color these craft sticks, you can absolutely do that too. So I'm going to use hot glue again just to adhere my fuzzy sticks. Again, I think that hot glue works better than craft glue. It's more immediate, but definitely be careful if you've never used it before. And don't use it without an adult assistance. And I glued the popsicle sticks together at this point. So now that I have my fuzzy stick attached, I'm just going to wrap it like so. So I've wrapped that one, and now I need another fuzzy stick because I ran out of orange. And you guys can glue and decorate your snowman and your carrot nose however you want. If you don't have craft sticks, using just fuzzy sticks works just fine. I just think that they're not as sturdy. So if you don't have craft sticks, I would recommend just like folding it in half like so, and then you can cut it down as needed. You could do it very, very simply. So again, I need to adhere my fuzzy sticks so I can keep wrapping. And again, if you don't have fuzzy sticks or pipe cleaners, you can just color these orange. You could paint them orange, whatever your heart desires. Maybe your carrot is purple. There are rainbow carrots. Maybe it's yellow. I always thought it was funny, adults who had never seen rainbow carrots before, because everybody asks, do they taste any different? But they don't. I don't really know what the difference between rainbow carrots and otherwise is, other than the color. But if you guys are finished with your craft, you're welcome to leave at any time. So now that I've almost finished wrapping this, I'm kind of speeding through my wrapping, but I have a little bit of another piece of fuzzy stick to finish this off. So my carrot nose is about 2.5 fuzzy sticks to cover. So that's what I would recommend for you guys as well. But it really kind of depends on the length and the size of the circle that you have. Okay, so it's not perfectly covered, but it will do. So now that my popsicle stick nose is covered, I am going to poke a hole through the middle. Please, please, please be careful when you're doing this. I'm just going to use a pen because I'm using cardboard. But again, if you have your push pin, you can use your push pin to create a hole, whatever you have at your disposal. And I'm just going to poke through the middle like so. So there you go. And now I'm just going to push the end of my fuzzy stick. I left a little bit of a tail there through here. And I'm gonna bend it so then it stays secure, but it also still spins. So it's okay if your push pin doesn't go all the way through if you're doing wood. You really just need it to stay in enough that you're able to spin your fuzzy stick nose around. So as you can see, it's pretty smooth. So now my Christmas hat or my snowman's hat is pretty dry. So I am going to adhere his hat because then from there, I'll know where his cheeks and his eyes need to go. So again, just for time's sake, I'm using hot glue, but you can use craft glue, whatever you have at your disposal to adhere the snowman's hat to your snowman's face. So here is the snowman hat. And again, the white is still coming out a little bit, but once it dries, it won't be white anymore. So as you guys can see, I added his hat. We have our countdown. My hat's a little decorated. It looks a little festive. And here's the back one more time for reference. I just flipped my fuzzy stick up and now it very easily spins. So the next step is just decorating your snowman's face. So what's really funny about the snowman is that I painted him white, but I learned today that snow actually isn't white, it's translucent. So it's colorless. But something that's really cool too is that it doesn't always appear white. Deep snow can appear blue because the layers of snow can create filters for the light, causing more red light to be absorbed than blue light. So it's just really interesting when you think about how color is such an abstraction, and light is really what determines color. So I am going to add some eyes and rosy cheeks to my snowman, but you guys can add whatever you want. If you want your snowman to have a mustache, maybe your snowman has a mustache. If you have a snow woman and you want her to be wearing a necklace, maybe she's wearing a necklace. You guys can decorate your snow people however you want. And then again, I'm adhering with hot glue just for time's sake. And I tried to center my eyes to the best of my ability. And so again, just to show you guys, and somebody asked about if we painted this today or if it was already painted. And you guys can use either a white paper plate, white piece of paper, or paint as needed. I used something brown, so I had to paint it. And then the last thing I'm going to do is color in some rosy cheeks. Where is my pink marker? Here it is. So I'm going to do one cheek here. I make the cheeks about the same size as the eyes. You guys can paint these, you can use glitter. I'm just using marker to finish off my snowman. If you don't have googly eyes, you can totally just draw on eyes. If you want to just give your snowman some eyelashes, whatever you guys prefer. And then the last thing is just adding my snowman's smile. He is a happy snowman. So if you guys enjoyed today's craft, or if you felt like it was a little bit too fast for you, but you really want to do the craft, certainly check out Michael's website or their YouTube page. Also, hashtag Make It With Michaels. We would love to see what you guys created today. And also check out craftprojectideas.com. You can download a free template, and then there's also a step-by-step tutorial for this. I really enjoyed having you guys today. And if you enjoyed today's class, definitely join me again on December 15th. We're going to be making a very, very Christmassy monster truck. So I look forward to seeing you guys then, and I hope everybody has a very happy holiday season. Bye.